Part of the power is getting into a niche in a way where you can say, we're the only ones who do blank. What's up, guys? It's Frankie here, and this is some free training on the definitive guide to picking a niche. I got 99 problems, but a niche ain't one. And this is for those of you guys who are either going from that journey of like recognizing that you've been a generalist and it doesn't make much sense anymore, and now you want to specialize in something so you can get paid more, have a better deliverable, and all that kind of good stuff. Or you've just recognized you're starting out and you realize, like, I got to pick a niche to be able to do this. And I want to show you guys some of the common mistakes and hopefully clear the mud. LA's only asexual computer repair. There you go. Essentially, I'm using this as a joke, but you want to get yourself like part of the power is getting into a niche in a way where you can say, we're the only ones who do blank, even if it's just some little twist. Like there's lots of people who do computer repair, but this is like obviously like a little bit of stupid, dumb high school humor. So anyways, let's get into it. First thing is the most important question in business is who is your business really about? Who are your actual clients? Who are you building this thing about? And that is essentially what we're answering in the question of like building a niche. It's like, who is this thing going to be about? How are we going to do it? How are we going to get results for people? And let me tell you some of the mistakes that I see people make. So if you understand these, you won't do kind of the dumb shit people do with niches. The first biggest mistake is I see people agonizing, thinking they're going to find some super secret hidden source of money. And so they delay and delay and delay and delay picking a niche. And sometimes they'll spend 3 months, 6 months, a year trying just to decide on a fucking niche. And it's better just to pick some old plain Jane boring niche and get into it than it is to sit on the sidelines trying to find this perfect opportunity, because there isn't really one. And then the second big thing is I see people, they'll get into a niche and then as soon as it gets hard, which, by the way, a niche at some point when you're trying to figure them out and who these people are, it will get hard and they change. And so I'll tell you in a minute why that's such a terrible mistake. But what happens is if you're constantly changing niches, you never build any momentum in any direction. And then the other thing is, and I've been guilty of this, choosing a niche because you think, oh, this niche has money. These people like have lots of money. And the truth is, you'll see in a second, that niches are a spectrum, and there's broke people and there's rich people in every niche, right? Like there wouldn't be a niche if there weren't people making money. So let me address firstly the never picking one. Is the news is there really aren't that many bad niches. Every niche has pros and cons. No matter what niche we pick, we're going to narrow it down to what I think is a better description is a niche within a niche, or actually if we're going to use the French word niche, which is correct. And I always say this for like most lifestyle agencies, like to hit your wildest income goals, like you're talking about 100 clients or less. So the goal isn't to like try and make this mass appeal Starbucks appeal to everybody on every street corner. Like we're talking to 100 people or less. So I see people like agonizing, what if I choose the wrong niche and blah, blah, blah. And it's more like we're going to pick a niche that probably is plain Jane, boring. Lots of people already in it. We're going to aim our messaging for 100 clients or less. So are there bad niches? Yes. Let me just put some spacing here for my crazy brain. So let's talk really quickly. What are some of the bad niches? Is reason number one, they're a bad niche is if they just don't spend money on ads. If they don't spend any money on ads and marketing, you're going to have a hard time selling them stuff because they don't buy it. There are some niches that fit those description. And then the other one that I see that generally is kind of bad is if insurance has standardized it. So like insurance agents, like why would they hire an insurance agent when they can go to geico.com and get pricing? Or like, travel booking, like travel agents are largely, unless they're specialized, because like you can go, to any number of websites and book your own travel. And general practice doctors, because like every doctor charges the same price, it's standardized by insurance. They don't really advertise. So as long as you're avoiding those two things, that they don't spend money on ads and insurance has standardized it, it's going to be a good thing. Just, like it's going to be a niche. It's going to be viable. It's going to work. And contrary to popular opinion, competition is a good thing, because if there was no competition, there wouldn't be a niche. There wouldn't be money, right? Like you wouldn't be able to get paid if there was no niche at all. So, but I just say that like there are some like more competitive niches. Sometimes like e-commerce can be one of those. Dentists are one of those. Home services can be one of those. Lawyers is another one. When you go into those competitive ones, like there's more people messaging them, there's more stuff coming at them. So you're just gonna have to work harder to kind of get liftoff velocity, but there's lots of reasons it can be worth it. But you don't want to avoid competition. The opposite, you want to go where there is at least some level of competition. So let me tell you the two biggest reasons to pick a niche, because if you understand this, you'll understand like what we're actually doing here, and therefore you won't obsess about details that don't matter, like people trying to find this perfect niche and this super secret source of money. Reason number one is you need messaging to be on point, right? Like you need messaging that has some teeth that like bites, like I don't know why I just pictured a vagina with teeth. You don't want a vagina with teeth, but without it, what happens is your promise will be the generic more. And I see this all the time where people say, we're going to get you more customers, more sales, more leads, more. It's hard to make messaging on point when you're talking to too many people. Like, as an example I give of this is like, try in your mind, write an advertisement right now for an athlete. Go. Now, I want you in your mind now to try and write a different advertisement, this time for a left-handed golfer with a slice. Now, if you're anything like me, the first example, you probably struggled a little bit. I didn't really know what to say. Dear athlete. And I didn't even know where to go from there. But if I'm talking to a left-handed golfer with a slice, like the ad almost writes itself. It's like, dear left-handed golfer with a slice. We're a little bit different than righties. And if you got a slice, you know about, where you're losing strokes on the course. Like I could start writing that messaging. So almost always, like, if you don't have a niche narrow down, your messaging is going to be some generic more. Dear athlete, we can get you more. With the meaningful specifics, you can say, dear left-handed golfer with a slice. So like the results you can promise start to become more meaningful. Like, dear personal injury lawyer, I can get you one motorcycle accident case. Dear water damage restoration contractor, I can get you 30 category 3 flood job phone calls this month. Or, cosmetic dentist, I can get you a veneer patient in the chair by Friday, right? Like your promises can suddenly start to have some meaning. So that's the biggest reason to pick a niche. It's like your messaging starts to have power because you have one type of conversation over and over repeated. Second reason is to have, and this is the biggest reason, is it scales. It scales. You have a repeatable, deliverable process. I call this the difference between custom and customization. When you're a generalist, when you solve a problem, every single time you solve a problem, you start at zero. And so you have to, like, imagine you run a restaurant and somebody comes there and says, like, hey, do you guys make sandwiches? Well, you got to figure out how to go make sandwiches. If somebody says, like, hey, do you make pizza? You might have to go to the store and get ingredients for it. If somebody says, hey, can you make a salad? Or somebody says, do you do catering? You're going to have to figure all that out every single time. But if you just like McDonald's, when they first scaled, all they did is make burgers, right? People come in the door. So customization is like, hey, can I have some extra ketchup on my burger? Sure. Or can you hold the onion? Sure. Like, I don't like pickles, so I want extra pickles, right? You can customize it, but it's always a burger. And so it's like, it's already 90% done before they walked up. So that's what you want to get into, is like where you're just doing one repeatable thing and like your processes are tight and over. So this is why we're picking a niche. So don't obsess about like if I pick the wrong one, because you just want some damn messaging that's on point and you want repeatability. And like 90% of niches will fit this. So I'm going to give you a few things to think about when picking a niche. It helps if you have past experience there. It is not required. When I went into lawyers, I didn't know any lawyers, but it helps if you have past experience. Like, I've had people come to me and say, like, I want to work with chiropractors, and yet they have 15 years experience working in HVAC. It's like, you should work with HVAC people. You already know them, like them, you speak their language. Like, so even if that past experience, by the way, is at a job or like in a family business or something, and you've never actually like worked with them as clients, it helps because you'll just understand them, their language, how they think, where they're coming from. It also helps if you're gonna have real empathy and sort of be able to like think like they do. It's not a requirement, but in order to like make messaging that's on point, you got to understand who they are, what they're trying to do, and get it on point. In every niche, by the way, has a spectrum of broke people, of people doing okay, and people crushing it. So a lot of times people think like, I wonder if this niche has money. It doesn't matter what niche you go in. There's broke lawyers. There's $500 million lawyers. There's broke yoga studio owners. There's people with 12 locations, right? Like, so I don't want you guys to think about it as like, does this niche have money? Because in reality, every niche has a spectrum. And so what we want to do, by the way, is focus on the highest part of the spectrum. So, there were two other things I wanted to add. I guess I'll just type these out. So when you're going from generalist to specialist, I'll tell you what most people's first thought is. Like, I see this all the time. They'll come to me and they'll say, I'm going to go after something new. I'm going to break into chiropractors. I want to niche like car dealerships. I want to go after blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that can't work, but I almost always find that it's better to clone an existing client. So your niche, like you already have your niche if you're going from generalist to specialist, you already have your niche. So you have to look at your existing client roster and go, who's easy to help, stayed a long time with super low maintenance, that if I had only clients like this, I could do all day long. And you just make that your business. Almost always, if you've been a generalist for long enough, you got like 1 to 5 of those people. Well, pick one of those people and make that your niche. Okay. So this idea that you're going to go into something new, I'm not saying you can't, but like usually if you go into something new, there's a 6-month learning curve. If you clone an existing client, you already got that. You got the assets, you got the systems, you know it works, you know what to say to them, you know what they want, you know what, and you can ask them for like questions anytime you get stuck. So I'm going to give you 2 massive shortcuts, and this is stuff I usually only show inside of our private mastermind, by the way, but I don't want to hold anything back for you guys because I know this will be massively helpful. When I set a niche within a niche, I'll tell you the 2 biggest things I look for inside of a niche. Okay, so thing number 1 is I focus on the people within the niche that are already spending money on ads. So that means like if I'm going to go after plumbers, I don't try and convince plumbers who are not currently spending on money on marketing to do it. The opposite. I want the person who has 5 websites, SEO, pay-per-click. It's a little bit counterintuitive, but I want to deal with people who have a proven history of spending money. Does not matter what niche you get into. Do not violate this rule. And number 2 is, it's a dramatic pause because I lost my train of thought. They're already spending money on ads. Oh, and I would say they have outgrown single solo operator and have teams and staff. Tell you you're going to get the most amount of like desperation and I need it to work yesterday from single solo operators. It doesn't really matter what niche you're in, if it's plumbers, if it's a single dentist, if it's a chiropractor. I'm not saying like single solo operators can't ever be good, but I'll tell you, if you just work with people who have real, more established businesses, like this is a little counterintuitive, but it's more about like helping winners to win more than it is about trying to turn losers into winner. And I don't mean like losers in life, because like there's lots of good people and stuff like that out there in the world that are not winning at the game of business. I'm talking strictly at the game of business. But this is very counterintuitive. You do not want to be the savior in anybody's business. You want to be the one who helps the winners win more. And by and large, the winners are already running some sort of marketing campaigns, and they have teams and they have systems. And believe it or not, a lot of times you think like if a company's doing 10 million, what would they need my help with? And they actually have more problems because there's more stuff to manage. There's more pay-per-click. There's more PPC. There's more payroll to take care of. There's more ads. There's more account rejections. There's more need for good people. So believe it or not, like these people, a lot of times we think, oh, they've already got it all figured out, but they need you more. So if you do those things where you focus on like really getting clear about who, just picking somebody, getting on with it, and realizing we're only aiming after 100 people, you steer clear of the bad niches, you make your messaging on point, your delivery on point, you deal with people that you think like and you would enjoy having over for dinner at your house. You clone an existing client if you're making that journey, and you focus on the people within there spending monies, and then have teams and systems. And by the way, there's an easy way to check this. Like just go to the About Us on our page or on their site. And if it's just one guy or one girl, you might want to skip it. But other than that, like this is the key. If you follow this as a guideline, you're going to nail the niche like so much better. Guys, if you like this video, you're also going to want to grab some free bonuses, which you can get at our website, Beyond Agency Profits. To make it easy for you, I've put the links to it in the description of this video, as well as pinned in the top comment. And we've got a couple of awesome things. This is what you'll get after you sign up. You get some of our best training, how we're closing clients over Loom videos, how we sometimes sign clients that is not a misprint for under $5 US, how to demonstrate your value in like amazing ways, trainings, how to have your clients write the best copy of your life, how we're closing without phone calls, campaigns that we've generated for clients that have done over $100,000, as well as scripts you can use to get conversations going with clients in under 10 minutes. All you got to simply do is go there, enter your name and email address, and then this is what you'll see on the other side. So if that's interesting to you, make sure to click the links below, and I will see you on the other side.